In the latest chapter, guys, we got a ton of revelations, specifically about the Rox pirates and how they got created. And I'm telling you, we have one of the most charismatic character ever written in anime. And hear me out until the end, because we're going to be talking about this chapter 1155, so hear me out. And from the beginning, from the get-go, it starts right there. It starts already in Elbaf, where we left it from last time, and now we can see that Loki is talking to Rox and some of his crew members, or not yet crew members, but colleagues in a way. And Rox figures out that Loki is actually the son of Harold because Loki is like, yeah, what do you want to do with Pops or whatever? So he's like, oh, so you're his son. So even though Harold is not in the territory, I can still send Harold a message through Loki in a way. And by doing that, that's when we get that moment where Loki was saying, yes, my role model actually stroked me and injured me seriously or whatever. This is the moment. So that moment is basically just for Rox to send a message to Harold to come back to the country so that he talks to him or something, you know? And the message in here, it says, I'm guessing we can still reach him even if he's away. And he's like, Loki, just do what I tell you. Head on home and get someone to send urgent word to your pops. Tell him and say, Loki has been seriously hurt. You've got to return to Elbaf at once. And right there, Loki is pissed already. He's like, how come this insect, this human being that looks so tiny compared to Loki, talks to him that way? And as he got pissed, you don't talk to Rox that way. Rox, from that moment, he picks up his sword and literally slashed Loki in that moment. Two things. We understand that Rox is using a sword, so he's a swordsman. So a lot to talk about on that specific area, and probably my next video will be talking about Rock the XEBEC's powers and all of that, so tune in for that video, guys. And don't forget also to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It's very important, guys, very important. But from here, it says Rox's swordsmanship was renowned for its brutal impact, akin to a giant hammer or cannon fire, and it was said to blow everything in the surrounding vicinity away. And as we know, we can see that he basically blew up Loki, and Loki is seriously injured from that attack in a way. And you can see in the same page that Rox is literally just laughing it out, so he doesn't care about who does he actually hurt. But then now we get to a very serious moment in the chapter, and it's actually fascinating that we get to a very serious moment to the chapter already, like within the first pages, you know. And in here we go back to the event that happened like a couple years ago in Marijoa, where they had an intruder come in and he basically slashed an admiral, and that admiral then later went and just died. Like, whoa, what kind of power is that? Like, who can just easily go to Marijoa and then fight an admiral to the point where, you know, just in a couple strikes and all of that, boom, he's done. And after that, we have one of the most epic scenes of One Piece of 2025. I am telling you. And this scene in an anime is gonna be just epic. Like literally, I've got shivers just talking about this scene. But literally, you get to a scene where Rox is basically just sitting like this, you know, with a gun on his hand, and far away, or like basically in the same room, you can see him. And him is basically with Gunko, apparently, because we can see the face of a woman, and that woman has two different eyes in a way, like different colors. So that's why I'm saying that it's Gunko. And basically Rox is in here. It says the incident would be the first and last of its kind. An intruder made it all the way to the flower room, hidden deep within the Holy Land. First thing first, that room is hidden deep within. So deep, like how deep within the grid line is it actually? We don't know yet, but I'm probably guessing pretty deep, because no one can find it, but Rox did? How? I don't know, but I'm probably guessing that it involves a lot of observation hockey, where when you are in a territory or something like that, just like coming back to what Rayleigh used to do back in the day on the island where he was training Luffy, and he was actually capable of knowing exactly where each creature was on that island. Basically the same power that I'm probably guessing, but a little bit stronger. That's what I'm thinking. And so as soon as Rox got to Marijoa, I'm guessing that he used his observation hockey so that he guesses where is the treasure in a way, and he found out that, you know, this is the place where there's a lot of stuff coming from it, like a lot of darkness or whatever, a lot of power. So he decided to go and see it. And as soon as he saw it, it says in here, the man claimed to be a Davy Jonesian pirate. He knew there was nothing more he could do in that moment, so he withdrew with these words. And as he's looking at him, he's like, just wait, I will be back. Just that moment sends shivers through all of your body in a way. Basically, in that moment, Rox understood that the king per se of this world is him. And if you want to have that position, you gotta go through him in a way. And that's why he, in a way, he showed up to that room, and he was like, he told his opponent, don't worry, I'll show up in the future and I'll probably defeat you. And damn. And all of that, of course, no one knows about it. No one knows about this incident because they will not report this kind of incident to the news and to the world and all of that, you know? No one wants to know that, oh yeah, there's an actual per se king that's shadow ruling this world of One Piece or whatever. And here it says again, is still in Marijoa, because at the same time we know that Rox was the first intruder to Marijoa, and he killed basically an admiral, and he went all the way to see him right in the face and tell him, yeah, I'll be back. At the same time, you had another intruder, and that was King Harold, that was trying to disguise himself. And that, I want to talk about it for a little bit. I don't know how King Harold, knowing that he's not just a regular giant, but he's a giant that has ancient blood in him. And I don't understand how he was able to actually sneak all the way to Marijoa. Like, he's not just big in size, he's basically double the size of a normal giant or whatever. So how did he sneak into Marijoa? I don't know. You guys let me know down in the comments below if you have an idea, but I totally don't. Or maybe he was pretending to be like a guard of a king or something, and that's the way he found to sneak into Marijoa. But other than that, literally that was my only option. But moving on, we can see that at the same time, on the same day that Marijoa had those two intruders, something very bad happened at the same time, because King Harold is apparently being pursued right now, and he is kind of looked at as a criminal, and they labeled him as the kidnapper. Why? Because 5 kings also got kidnapped by Rox, but they are putting it on basically King Harold. And King Harold now is running around because he's on fire. But as he's running on fire, you have one of the most faithful interactions happen. 2 intruders happening to be one versus another, and they actually look at each other, and King Harold is so pissed that he's like, that must be the guy who kidnapped the kings. How dare he used me as a scapegoat. And as he's getting pissed, boom, he decided to actually do something about Rox, but Rox defends himself, so they actually, you know, fight each other. But while fighting each other, you can see a huge burst of Conqueror's Haki. From there, you understand King Harold might have Conqueror's Haki, and Rox has Conqueror's Haki, Observation, and probably Armament Haki as well. Basically, he's got them all and probably maxed out to the most. And in that same scene, as they are interacting, you can see that both of their weapons are not even touching or whatever. So you can clearly see that they are using Conqueror's Haki. And at the same time, everything around them gets blown away in a way. And at the same time, Rox is like, what the hell? Why is this giant in Marijoa, as he's getting attacks and all of that? And he's like, state your name. And he's like, King Harold, what about you? And he's like, Rox. Okay, as he tells him, I am Rox, he tells him also, you better direct your next attack towards over there, like the guards or whatever, because if they end up on capturing you, you will become a slave. So basically, Rox was trying to protect King Harold at that point in Marijoa. For what reason and what purpose, and what does Rox knows about the giants that we don't know yet? You guys will talk about it in the comments down below. Hey, and as that happens, King Harold talks to Rox and he's like, yeah, how do I get to Elbaf from here? And he's like, yeah, you gotta go this way. So this way towards the new world. So, so from there, Rox goes the other way and jumps the other way. So they get separated in that manner. So Rox goes towards paradise. So the first half of the Grand Line, and King Harold goes to the new world, the second half of Grand Line, where Elbaf is, which is absolutely crazy that they both jumped out of literally like what, 5 kilometers or 6 kilometers of altitude or something like that, because the red line is like 10 kilometers in altitude from literally the Fishman Island to the top, but from literally the sea level to the top, basically I think Eiichiro Oda said that it's something around like 5 to 6 kilometers, which is like 4-5 miles or something like that. Can you imagine if he actually told him the wrong information and he actually jumped into paradise with him and not into the new world? King Harold would have had so much time just to kind of go back to his country. I mean, thank God Rox told him the right information. And as it moves on to the next page, it tells you that despite all of the efforts to save him, the admiral that got struck by Rox literally died. And it was deemed the most grievous of sins. In the blink of an eye, Rox's infamy boomed. The event sent a powerful shock throughout the seas, and we see, not clearly, his wanted poster, and we don't see the number that's on the wanted poster. And from the looks of it, it probably looks like it was in the millions, so I'm probably gonna guess that it was not at the billions because of inflation and all of that. But for the time being, I'm gonna say that he was probably the biggest criminal at the time. So his bounty was probably at like 999 million berries or something like that, you know? And from there, some time later, a ship carrying a great amount of celestial tribute to Marijoa was attacked. So you understand that he started attacking the Marijoa ships. And you can even call him a revolutionary before Dragon, because in here you can say that he was doing the job of Dragon a couple years ago. And at the same time, it says in here that the gates of justice were destroyed and the attacker fled the scene. So you understand that when he went down to the paradise, he was in that triangle in between Marineford, Impel Down, and the CP9 where they were in Enies Lobby. He was basically in that triangle. And when he wanted to actually get out of it, he basically saw that gate of justice and he destroyed it. To get to that power level, who do you think in the One Piece world, like who else, what kind of character can actually do the same thing? Because other than, for example, Whitebeard or even like Goldie Roger or something like that, I don't think there's gonna be that many characters that are able to do the same prowess in a way. And until that point, Rox had always acted against the world government, but after that, he started to target pirates too. And by doing that, he also started practicing a lot more Davy backfights. And Davy backfights, if you don't know about them, basically way back in the day in the One Piece world, there was an arc where we saw Luffy fight another pirate crew, and they did a Davy backfight. And a Davy backfight basically is two crews fighting each other in the manner of a few games, and whoever wins will win something out of the other pirate crew. For example, it can be their pirate flag. It can be even people in that crew. So for example, way back in the day, we almost lost Chopper, for example, and we almost lost Robin. We almost lost basically all the Straw Hats. But at the end, the Straw Hats won. No one got captured, you know? But in here, you understand that Rox was using that same system, and that system helped him a lot to gain a lot of members, just like Whitebeard, just like Shiki, just like Stussy, for example. Basically, he was just about getting not companions, but the strongest people he could, so that he can go back and confront Im-sama, you know? And by doing that, he also went back to Elbaf. And he went back to Elbaf with his, not crew per se, because they were not a pirate crew yet, but you can see here that Rox shows up to Elbaf with a bunch more people, like other than Whitebeard and all of that. And he showed up to Elbaf just like in the beginning of the chapter. He showed up to Elbaf because he wants King Harold to actually join his crew. And all of that because of the message, you know, from the beginning of the chapter. And he wants him to join, but King Harold is like, no, we changed however we do things in here, and we're not warriors per se, or pirates or whatever. And we also get to see Shiki the Wicked, who's the future Golden Lion, Miss Buckin the Tech Bandit, which is Buckingham Stussy, then somebody else called Don Marlon, who is a gangster from the West Blue. We get to see, of course, Edward Newgate, which is the future Whitebeard, and then we get to see somebody called Pirate Prophet Ochuku, future Commodore of Pirate Island. And if you don't know about him, basically he was the king of the Beehive, you know, and how he got dethroned in a way. Basically, it was the whole Rocky Port incident where Law was there, Kobe was there, and then Blackbeard showed up, and that's how at the end he was able to become the new king of the Beehive, you know. But it's fascinating to see his face right now, because he kind of looks like another character in One Piece, and I believe he looks like Caribou a little. So he might have a father-son relationship or something, maybe. But then we jump to the last character we see here, and his name is called Ganzu, and he is the smuggler, and he looks like he's eating some bullets. And from there, we get to see one of the biggest resolve and willpower of a character in One Piece. And here you understand that Rox wants to actually cut a deal with the government so that he goes himself to the Beehive and get rid of all the bad pirates or whatever, so that they can make that space livable or approachable, so that they can dump their bad guys in a way. And in here it says, these days anyone who gets near the island gets swarmed by the hardened criminals. They'll strip you of everything. So then we got a deal with the government. I asked, how much are you gonna pay us if we take that island back for you guys? And once we get the money, we'll take down Pirate Island and split the mountain. But there's no way in hell we're just handing over the island and those criminals after that. And basically you understand that he wants to become basically the king of that Beehive, and he wants to screw over the world government and get the money from them and get the money that's in the Beehive, you know. And he says also, there is no such thing as power that lasts forever. Join me, Harold. If we team up, we will be unstoppable. So basically he was trying to do the same thing as, in a way, the world government, trying to get the giants to fight for them or whatever and get them as allies, which of course didn't happen. But in here you can also see that Loki suddenly realized he had found salvation, and he's looking at Rox like, oh my god, that's my new role model or whatever. So I don't know about the relationship of Loki in the future with Blackbeard. Maybe there's gonna be something. Hopefully not. Hopefully Loki will be on the side of Luffy and all of that, hopefully. But this is kind of a dangerous situation, because he's like, oh, that sounds like good. The world, huh? You want to conquer the world. And Loki is getting that idea in his head already, you know? And then we jump into 4 years past. Harold continued rejecting the numerous invitations he received until one day, Rock's plan had finally reached its fruition, backed by his monstrous crew. He would send shockwaves throughout the world. And as you see that, you see a pirate flag with the name Rox on it. So basically you understand that the Rox's whole goal, which was to conquer the beehive, become the king of it and all of that, and get a lot of money and screw the world government and all of that and become very powerful. Yeah, it became true to the point where now he's got his flag and he's ready to go and conquer everything. And from here, where you get to see what's going to happen, because what's going to happen is, of course, the faithful fights that's going to happen in God Valley with Rox versus Garp and Goldie Roger's crew, and Goldie Roger, of course. But throughout this chapter, we got already a shit ton of information left and right, and we basically got the creation of the Rox pirates and how they became who they became, basically. And we understand that if he didn't use those Davy back fights, he wouldn't have been able to, of course, gather so many actually strong and powerful characters in his crew, in a way. But it's just fascinating to see that a crew so strong will have, of course, a downfall. And it's just going to be fascinating to see how it's going to happen, probably in one of the next chapters of One Piece. And I'll be here, guys, to talk about it. So don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you on the next one. Peace.